Before becoming the living proof that hard work and pure determination can help you achieve damn near anything, well, the rapper and podcast host, simply known as AD, well, he was born Armand Douglas on April 16th, 1989 in Los Angeles, California. Now, growing up mostly in the Piru part of Compton, well, Armand's parents, Deanna Giles and Rory K. Douglas, well, they instilled their tireless work ethic into their son by holding multiple jobs in an attempt to provide for their family that also included Armand's siblings. We're talking Asia, Amir, Rory Jr, Dahlia, Alante, and Jabril. Now, most of the time, well, you'd find Armand staying at his grandmother's place while his mother was off earning a buck. Now, his grandmother, she used to work for the Compton Unified School District, and it was thanks to her that AD and his siblings, well, they were always taken care of. But it wasn't just his grandmother who lent a hand. Now, Armand says his entire community, they felt like a family, which was often a good thing, but also meant that you had to be on your best behavior because it wasn't just family that could get you into trouble when you, were starting to misbehave.
Only guy coming from my section, there's never been another guy from my section that's made a mainstream or gotten real big to that.
Now, when it comes to pastimes and hobbies, well, his father proved to be a major influence in his life by not only introducing him to the music of DJ Quick, but also some of AD's favorite television shows like Naruto and Scrubs. Now, his father, he loved to critique these shows frequently, and Armand, well, he was also into gaming, in particular first-person shooters. Now, today, his tattoos, they reflect his early life passions, including references to not only his favorite video games, but music, shoes, and his grandmother as well. Now, when AD was first starting to fall in love with music, well, he gravitated towards the West Coast scene artists. We're talking Ice Cube and Tupac. Now, get this, he used to tape over his grandmother's class lectures to record his favorite songs off of the good old-fashioned radio. Then he'd play them back and recite the lyrics. Now, around this time is also when Armand, he started attending school. Now, first he studied inside the home of neighbors named Miss Ford before heading off to Caldwell Elementary. Now, from there, he'd bounce around a little bit, attending Broad Acres Elementary, Curtis Middle School, and King Drew High School, from which he was eventually expelled. Now, school, it was always easy for Armand, so it made applying himself difficult, and more often than not, well, he chose to act like the class clown. Now, following his expulsion, well, he transferred to Gardena High School, where he eventually, well, he got that diploma. Now, in his young adult life, well, Armand, he messed around at Harbor Community College, but he never finished his degree. Now, instead, he wound up working a series of odd jobs to provide for himself and for his family. Now, he started off by selling song lyrics printed out on paper from whatever popular record was spinning on the radio at the time. Now, eventually, well, that escalated to AD moving candy on his city streets, and he's never exactly been one to shy away from his roots as a Crip on the west side of Compton. But narcotics, they weren't the only thing he was moving. Now, AD, he was both more industrious and inventive than that. Now, he also earned a whole bunch of bread from making ringtones and unlocking popular games on cell phones. Now, this service, it earned him a pretty large clientele around Los Angeles, and from there, he moved on to selling bootleg video games and consoles. Now, throughout all of this, however, becoming a rapper was always AD's escape plan, and in his spare time, well, he'd write raps on the side while battle rapping around LA. Now, following the shooting and the death of his best friend Dante on AD's own front porch when he was just 18 years old, well, Armand began to suffer from anxiety issues, and he realized that his career on the streets, well, would have to come to an end, especially as more and more close friends, well, they met their fate to senseless acts of street violence and prison. Now, the only thing that kept AD going after that was his music. Now, he'd return to the home where he was living with his grandma at the time, and he'd plug in a Mickey Mouse mic he had, and he'd upload his music to MySpace and YouTube, anywhere people might actually hear it. Then at 19, well, AD got his girlfriend Genesis pregnant. Now, 9 months later, he had a baby girl who was born on exactly his 20th birthday. Now, AD would take this as a sign that it was time to change his life once and for all. More than just that, well, it was time to take over the rap game once and for all. Now, AD's long and winding path to the hip-hop industry, it began in earnest around 2013, which is when he used the last $600 or so he had earned while working at Target following the birth of his daughter to pay for the music video for a single titled Compton. Soon enough, AD was performing all around the city with his friend Joe Moses, and he eventually met his future production collaborator Ace Boy Pun. Now, that's when AD began to hit the Hollywood nightlife with his new pal, and he watched as Genesis landed himself a record deal by performing at clubs. Now, having seen firsthand that this guy was accomplishing his dreams and that it was actually a possibility, well, AD redoubled his efforts, and his breakthrough moment, well, it arrived in 2015 thanks to his hit song Juice. Now, that year, Juice figuratively detonated into one of the biggest street rap hits on the West Coast, and AD accomplished that feat without a major label backing him. Now, the track, it didn't immediately blow up, but once OT Genesis featured it in the background of his Instagram, well, it sparked a national conversation as thousands of fans tried to figure out what it was he was listening to. From there, media outlets, they picked up the story, and AD's song went increasingly viral. Now, Exhibit, he offered to play it on his radio show and then brought AD to the studio to work with the legendary Dr. Dre. But its more recent association with a popular podcast that's had people, well, talking a whole lot. My God, this is the most drama I've seen on the internet. After attending a video shoot with his good buddy O3 Greedo a few years ago, well, AD was introduced to the host of the popular podcast series No Jumper. Now, after being interviewed on the platform, well, AD was asked to take the reins of a Snapchat series that ended up going well throughout the pandemic, and soon enough, well, AD found himself filling in as co-host on the primary show. Now, eventually, AD's natural charisma and charm, it won the platform's audience over, and he was offered further opportunities on the channel. Now, he was also encouraged to begin streaming, so he kickstarted his own company called Community, that's C-U Unity, with his producing partner Ace Boy Pun, and they began streaming on Twitch multiple nights a week. But then there came a big falling out. That's with the platform that really put him on the internet's map. And well, after AD understandably expressed concern over the guest Richard Spencer, who's like a known racist and white supremacist, he appeared on the show, and AD wasn't having it. Well, now that he was free to do his own thing, well, AD created a new platform called Figmunity, World with Pun, and his former podcast co-host T-Rel, Duno, and Smack. And all four of these dudes, they're now gearing up to host a live show in Los Angeles this summer, one of which is already sold out. So I guess you could say that AD is already well on his way to achieving a number of the goals he set for himself. Not only has he taken the world by storm with his music, well, he's finding success with streaming and original content as well. But the biggest surprise I learned from AD's come up had little to do with what he's accomplished and a lot more to do with misunderstandings that almost resulted in a potential violent outcome. Now, during an appearance on his former podcast, well, AD revealed that his very first meeting with Kendrick Lamar almost went sideways when Lamar originally believed that AD, well, he was from a different hood than his own, and well, he had formally attacked him when he was 15. Now, after harassing AD and demanding to know if he was from the Almond Block in Compton, well, AD managed to calm Kendrick down and make it clear that they were both from the same side of Compton. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up this video here, but I do have a question for you. What's the biggest sacrifice a grandparent has ever made for you? I don't really think I had. My grandparents are back in Ireland. They didn't leave me much. I did buy my first car with the inheritance, a Hyundai Tiburon. So thank you, Grandma, if you're watching this video. But obviously, for AD here, his grandma did a lot more. So let me know what your grandparents have ever done for you in the comments down below. My name's Michael McCrudden. As you know, this is Before They Are Famous. So if you want to subscribe for more videos, we drop a new one almost every day. We're also over on Famous News, and you can find us on all platforms. Of course, we'll keep the good stuff coming. AD, thanks for the collab. I'll see you guys in another video. Before becoming one of the most talked about female rappers on the planet thanks to hit songs like Wet and Area Codes, well, up-and-coming female MC Cali was born Kalia Ashley Ross on July 29, 2000 in Roswell, Georgia. For the most part, Cali was raised by her Panamanian mother on the north side of Atlanta, along with the help of her maternal grandmother. In fact, both of these women, they would play a huge part in shaping the person Cali would become. Now, her mother taught her the importance of hard work, while her grandma, well, she pushed her to believe in herself at all times. But it was Cali's stepfather who somewhat inadvertently, well, he turned her into a performer. Now, a little over a decade ago, when Cali was still in the 5th grade, well, she was chronicling her feelings daily in a journal as she went through the trials and tribulations of impending adolescence. Back then, her stepfather, he was dabbling as a producer in the music industry, and he'd set up a recording studio in the home spare bedroom so he could make some beats. Now, with only 3 bedrooms in the house, well, that meant that Cali, she had to share a room with her brother, something she desperately wanted to stop doing the older she got. So she and her stepdad, well, they struck a deal. If she wrote 13 songs all on her own, well, she could have her own bedroom. Less than a month later, well, Cali, she had finished writing every single track and then recorded the songs with her stepdad's help. Now that's how she officially became a 12-year-old rapper and the sole owner of her very own bedroom. Now influenced from the beginning by artists like Nicki Minaj and Aaliyah, well, Cali knew how she wanted to present herself to the world as a girl with a bag full of swag, which is what gave her the confidence to then package 6 of those 13 songs into a mixtape and distribute them to barbershops all around her hometown while dropping a few DIY music videos as well. She even handed copies of her project out to her soccer team, but once she firmly entered her teenage years, well, she kind of lost track of music for a minute as she focused more on athletics as well as earning some disposable income while working at Chipotle. Yeah, listen, it worked for Machine Gun Kelly, no shame in that, right? Now, after a month in the fast food industry, well, Cali picked up work at a top golf entertainment venue before considering joining the Air Force. Now, instead of doing that, however, well, Cali, she ended up working at a senior living facility beside her mom, and during the short amount of time she could steal with her breaks, well, she'd write a few new rhymes and share them with her mother. Now, that's when Cali's mom, she came up with an idea that would change her daughter's life forever. In 2018, Cali's mom, she found out that Netflix was holding auditions in Atlanta for their upcoming music competition series, Rhythm and Flow, and convinced her daughter to throw her hat into the ring. Now, unfortunately, well, Cali, she only made it to the second round of auditions before her opportunity was cut short because the judges of Killer Mike, Quavo, and Big Boy, well, they were all too tired to continue listening to the final 6 auditions. Now, she was supposed to receive a callback afterwards, but, well, she never did. Now, at that point, well, Cali, she could have given up on her dream completely. In fact, she considered it. But then another contestant from the series, Houston-based rapper Ken the Man, well, he encouraged her not to give up and to keep pushing forward. Now, this support, it led to Cali creating the first viral track of her career, a single titled Miami. But it still wasn't smooth sailing for Cali quite yet. Now, clearance issues, they plagued not only Mammy, but her first mixtapes as well, after she refused the advances of a producer who had helped her early on in her career. She told the podcast, "Go Off Sis," where she stated, "Men cannot handle rejection, especially in the industry. When you're a pretty woman, he got all my music taken down and filed a cease and desist. It was just weird." Yeah, people with them copyright strikes and those takedown notices, man. People are gangsta out there. Now, this understandably resulted in Cali once again growing frustrated with the process of making music. Now, that's when her manager stepped in, or should I say momager. Turns out Cali's manager is actually the mother of her best friend. So these two, they have a deep connection that goes beyond music and business. Now, Cali, she once told Hip Hop DX, "She's my best friend's mom and is the person who was like, you know what? We gotta do this thing. I'm gonna make sure your business is handled. I'll make sure nobody play with you and we're gonna take over." Now, in this case, well, Cali's manager had to protect her from herself by promising she'd keep an eye on any subsequent sampling issues that might arise. Cali threw herself into the recording process once again, and that very day, well, she created the song that would become her breakthrough. We're talking a track titled "Do a Bitch." Knowing she had something special on her hands, well, Cali, she held onto that track for 7 months, waiting for the right time to release it, before finally posting a snippet on TikTok for the first time in November of 2020. That same year, well, Cali, she signed her first big deal with Atlantic Records, and over the course of the next 12 months, we'll Do a Bitch, it would earn over 12 million streams on Spotify between the original version as well as its 3 remixes, one of which features Rico Nasty. Now, Cali, she almost didn't write the song that would change her life because the subject matter involving her ex was still quite fresh when she sat down to pen it. Now, thankfully, well, her best friend recognized the potential in the track and convinced her to release it. Now, before she knew what was happening, well, the song was blowing up over on TikTok as well, where big-time content creators like Charlie D'Amelio, Gabrielle Union, and Nessa Barrett, well, they were all getting in on the fun by dreaming up their own dance moves to the beat. With her name circulating more than ever, well, a couple months later, Cali dropped her debut EP, This Why They Mad Now. A title no one can knock. That's great. Now, of course, achieving a breakthrough isn't always as difficult as maintaining a presence. Now, thankfully, Cali, she was able to cement her position as one of hip-hop's most promising when she dropped in November of 2021. That's MMM space MMM. Kind of like my initials, but right? Produced by superstar ATL Jacob, well, the new song, it proved to be just as popular across digital streaming services and TikTok as her former hit, and it wound up producing remixes from the likes of Lotto and Moneybagg Yo. After collaborating together on that track, Latto brought Cali on tour, which propelled the young star's fame to new heights and set the stage for the next step in her career. In 2022, when Cali dropped her sophomore EP titled Toxic Chocolate, comprised of 8 songs, including and this project had featured collaborations alongside Bia, Young Blue, and Money Long. Now, while propelling Cali towards the biggest honor of her career so far, being named to the XXL freshman class of 2022. Joined by the likes of Nardo Wick and Don't Shy, well, this recognition proved that Cali, she had finally accomplished what she has been chasing for so long, a place of merit in the hip-hop food chain. Hot on the heels of that accolade, well, Cali, she kept the good vibes going with the release of Wet. Now, that's a sexy summer anthem with an addictive flow and a catchy beat. I think that's the one I heard on the radio that I'm like, we better make a video on this girl. She's blowing up. But even that spicy single, it wasn't quite as successful as what came next, when Cali scored her first appearance on the Billboard Hot 100 thanks to Area Codes. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Now, this is an interpretation of Ludacris's 2001 hit of the same name. Area Codes launched at the number 54 spot, and it was the highest new entry on the chart that week. What's more, the track, it also inspired more viral activity on TikTok when Cali's ex-streamer, Duke Dennis, well, he reacted to the video. Now, Duke's complicated and emotional response to that song has inspired a series of viral memes on TikTok, and it just goes to show you that no matter what Cali's working on at any given time, well, odds are pretty good once she drops a new song, it's gonna go viral in some way, shape, or form. Now, will this formula hold true for her next hit? Well, I guess we'll have to just wait and see. After all, this has been Before They're Famous. And before I leave you guys, I do have a question for you. Would you consider letting a best friend's parent control your business affairs? I mean, momagers worked out for the Kardashians. In hip hop, I feel like, having a parent that's in the business is quite frequent. A lot of people have tried, failed, but they know the biz, so then they become managers. But then you're getting your family mixed in with your finances. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.